How much is a mother who sacrificed everything worth? To my son, less than a tank of gas. At 68, I heard, "Figure it out, Mom." And then he hit the gas without looking back. Right there, surrounded by strangers, I smelled the mix of fuel and shame. I was the one who built the company he runs today. I was the one who wiped every tear when the world turned its back on him. And now, just a burden. While he sped away, a black car pulled up behind me. The window rolled down, and the voice that came from inside that car would change everything. Sometimes justice shows up when you least expect it. Yes, you heard that right. A son abandoned his own mother at a gas station, tossed $20 onto the car seat and said, "Figure it out, Mom," then drove off without looking back. I know what you're thinking. How does someone do that? How does a son look at the woman who gave him life and decide she's worth less than a tank of gas? This is Maggie Turner, and today I need to tell you about Eleanor Mitchell, 68 years old, a woman who always handled everything, who never gave up, who built, rebuilt, and kept moving forward even when her world collapsed, until one day she found herself sitting on the curb of a gas station, sun burning her back, 20 crumpled dollars in her hand, the smell of gasoline in the air, pitying looks from strangers walking by, and her son's car disappearing down the road. If you've ever felt invisible to the person you loved the most, if you've ever given everything and gotten indifference in return, if you've ever asked yourself when you stopped mattering, stay, because this story is not about revenge. It's about a woman who refused to disappear. And if you want to follow stories about dignity, fresh starts, and people who refuse to live devalued, hit subscribe now. Because here, we don't glamorize suffering. We celebrate rebuilding. Now, I'll let Eleanor herself tell you how it all happened. The sun was unbearable. I felt the heat burning the back of my neck while I stood there, clutching those $20 like proof of how much I was worth to my son. $20. The station was crowded, families filling up, kids running around, couples chatting while they paid, normal life happening around me while mine was falling apart. I tried to call Thomas. That's when I realized my phone was in his car. Of course it was. I'd left it in my purse on the back seat when he picked me up. Back when I still believed my son would drive me to the doctor and wait for me. Back when I still hoped he cared. A woman walked past me. She glanced over, then quickly looked away, like my misery was contagious. Another one leaned toward her husband and whispered something. I caught one word. Pathetic. That was it. I had become the pathetic woman at the gas station. My eyes burned. I didn't know if it was the sun or the tears I was holding back with the last bit of strength I had. I sat on the curb because my legs couldn't hold me anymore. Because 68 years weigh a lot when you realize you spent 30 of them loving someone who tossed you aside. The smell of hot asphalt mixed with gasoline filled my lungs, sickening, suffocating. I closed my eyes, tried to breathe, and then I heard his voice echoing in my head. You're dead weight, dead weight. My son. The baby I carried in my arms when he woke up crying. The boy I held when his father died. The young man I pushed forward when he doubted himself. That same son called me deadweight and left me there. I opened my eyes, watched the steady movement of the station, cars coming in, cars going out. Everyone had somewhere to go, except me. I didn't even know how much an Uber from there to my house would cost. Would $20 be enough? And if it wasn't, I thought about asking someone for help, walking up to a stranger, explaining. But the shame was bigger than the panic, because how do you explain that? How do you say, "My son abandoned me here, can you help me?" How do you say that out loud without completely falling apart? So I stayed. I don't know how long. 5 minutes, 10, 20. Time stopped meaning anything. Until I heard it, the sound of an engine slowing down. Very close, I turned my head. A black car, sleek, tinted windows. It stopped right behind me. I froze, confused. The driver's door opened slowly. A man got out. Impeccable suit, gray hair. He looked at me, his brow furrowed like he was trying to make sense of what he was seeing. Then he took a few steps toward me and said my name. Eleanor. I knew that voice. He stepped closer, crouched down beside me. Eleanor Mitchell, is that you? I lifted my face, looked at him through the tears that finally broke free, and I recognized him. Marcus Patterson, attorney, former partner of my late husband, someone I hadn't seen in over 10 years. He looked around, at the gas station, at me sitting on the curb, at the $20 crushed in my hand. My God, Eleanor, what happened? And you know what was interesting? I didn't feel shame in that moment. I felt clarity. Because there, at rock bottom, with a once stranger now friend looking at me with real concern, I understood something. My son had abandoned me. But I didn't have to abandon myself. I wasn't born to be invisible. I built my first company at 28, interior design. I started by turning my own living room into an improvised showroom. I met clients while nursing Thomas. I wrote up estimates at the kitchen table after my husband went to bed. In 5 years, I had a team of 8 and contracts with luxury developers in Seattle. I was the woman who walked into a room and changed the energy, who looked at an empty space and saw possibilities, who negotiated with suppliers in a firm voice and sketched layouts until dawn. I loved it. The feel of fabrics, the smell of fresh paint, the look on a client's face when they saw their new home and burst into tears. But then James died. Sudden heart attack, 45 years old, no warning, no goodbye. I was 42. Thomas was 12. At the funeral, everyone said the same things. Be strong. He'd be proud of you. You'll get through this. No one told me how. Thomas stopped talking, locked himself in his room, refused to eat, woke up screaming at night. I started sleeping on the floor next to his bed because it was the only way he could sleep. The company kept going. Clients called. Deadlines loomed. But my son needed a mother, not a CEO. So I made a choice. I sold the company for 1/3 of what it was worth to a competitor who took advantage of my desperation. I took the money and poured it into Thomas's therapy, his private school, stability. I became a freelance consultant, took clients at night, charged less to have flexibility, stopped signing projects so I could work behind the scenes. Because Thomas needed someone there when he got home from school, and I was there. In the years that followed, I watched my son smile again. I watched him fall in love with architecture, watched his drawings come to life, saw the talent James would have loved to see. When Thomas got into Columbia University, I cried. Not from sadness, from pride, but the tuition was brutal. The rent in New York, even worse. I took every job I could, small projects, simple remodels, quick consults. I worked 70 hours a week so Thomas wouldn't need student loans. He graduated debt-free, with honors, with job offers lined up. But Thomas wanted more. He wanted his own firm. He wanted to build something of his own. I didn't hesitate. I used what was left of my savings, rented the office space, bought the equipment, handled all the paperwork while he focused on design. I was the invisible partner, never asked for a contract, never demanded an official stake, because mothers don't do it for a return. They do it for love. On the day of Thomas's graduation, I gave him a gift, a black and silver Mont Blanc pen, engraved with the same words James had put on the pen he once gave me. To the woman who builds empires. Only I changed one word. To the man who builds empires. Thomas held that pen like a trophy. He hugged me, said he would make me proud. I smiled, because he already did. In the years that followed, his firm took off. Big projects, important clients, features in architecture magazines. I stayed in the background, helped with the books, sent clients his way, celebrated every win like it was my own. And in many ways, it was, because without me, none of it would exist. Then Thomas met Vanessa. Public relations, ambitious, beautiful, polished. I tried to like her, tried to see what he saw, but Vanessa looked at me like I was a stain on an expensive rug. At the wedding, I wore a simple dress, sat where they told me, smiled in the photos. Vanessa used the Mont Blanc pen to sign the marriage license. I saw it from a distance, said nothing, because Thomas seemed happy, and my son's happiness was always enough, until it stopped being enough, because over the last 3 years, something changed, and that something was named Vanessa. The changes started small, so small I tried to ignore them. Thomas canceled our Sunday lunch, said Vanessa had planned a brunch with her friends. The next week, he canceled again. Last-minute meeting. The third time, he simply didn't show up. I called. He answered with that tone of someone annoyed at being interrupted. "Mom, sorry. It totally slipped my mind. We're slammed over here." Slammed. As if 30 years of Sunday lunches could just slip his mind. Vanessa started making little comments, always with a smile, always in that tone that sounds sweet but cuts like glass. "Eleanor, you call a lot. Thomas needs some breathing room. Modern mothers understand boundaries, you know? Have you thought about making new friends? It must be hard depending so much on an adult son." I bit my tongue, smiled, pretended it didn't hurt, because confronting her meant drama, and drama meant risking my son. My grandson's birthday party was on a Saturday. I bought the gift a month ahead, a set of building blocks just like the one Thomas loved when he was little. I arrived right on time. Vanessa opened the door in a dress that cost more than my rent. "Eleanor, I didn't know you were coming. Thomas invited me." "Oh, he must have forgotten to tell me." She didn't step aside. She stayed in the doorway, blocking my way. "The thing is, today is just for close family. You understand?" Close family. I was the child's grandmother, but apparently I wasn't close family. Thomas appeared behind her, saw what was happening, and said nothing. He just shrugged like I was a pushy salesperson. I went home with the gift on my lap, sat on my couch, and cried in silence. But the worst was still coming. 2 months later, an envelope arrived. Legal documents. Sale of company shares. I had never formalized my stake in Thomas's firm. I trusted him. After all, I had invested my money, my time, my expertise, but on paper, legally, I didn't exist. Thomas had sold my share to an investor, $300,000. He didn't tell me, didn't consult me, just did it. Then he used that money to buy a beach house for him and Vanessa. I found out by accident. I saw Vanessa's photo on Instagram, her on the balcony, champagne in hand, the caption, "Our dream escape." I called Thomas. My hands were shaking. My heart was racing. Thomas, we need to talk. It's about the company. Mom, I don't have time for this. You sold my share? Silence. Then that cold voice. Mom, you never had an official share. You know that. I invested everything I had. I worked for years without pay, and I'm grateful. But that was your choice. I didn't ask you to do that. I felt the ground drop out from under me. Thomas, I'm your mother. Exactly. You're my mother, not my partner, not my investor. Mothers don't charge for sacrifices. I hung up, sat there holding the phone, trying to understand when my son had become a stranger. I tried to schedule a face-to-face, went to his office. The receptionist recognized me and smiled. Ms. Eleanor, it's been a while. Are you going up? I'm here to see Thomas. She checked the computer. Her smile faded. Oh, he left a note. If you come by, I'm supposed to tell you he's not available for walk-ins. Walk-ins. I was a walk-in. I went up anyway, knocked on his door. Thomas opened it, saw me, and sighed. That tired sigh of someone dealing with a recurring problem. Mom, I asked you not to come by unannounced. Does it really have to be like this? I just want to talk. He glanced over his shoulder, back at his desk, and that's when I saw it. The Mont Blanc pen, my pen, the pen from James, in Vanessa's hand. She was sitting at Thomas's desk, flipping through contracts, using the pen to jot notes. Thomas, that pen. Oh, this. Vanessa liked it, so I gave it to her. I gave it to her. Like it was nothing, like it meant nothing. Vanessa looked up, smiled, that smile that never reached her eyes. Eleanor, don't be upset. It's just a pen, just a pen. I walked out without another word, because if I opened my mouth, I'd scream or cry or beg, and I was tired of shrinking myself, but I still didn't know how much worse it could get. I found out by accident that they were moving. It wasn't Thomas who told me. It was a real estate agent. She called, thinking I was still involved in their financial decisions. Wanted to know if I had interest in buying their condo in Seattle before they put it on the market. Moving. To where? You didn't know. Portland. Thomas said Vanessa got an amazing position there. Portland. 3 hours away. And he wasn't going to tell me. I called him right away. Went straight to the point. Thomas, is it true you're moving? Long pause. Too long. Mom, I was going to tell you. When? After you left. Don't make this harder. It's a great opportunity for Vanessa. And for you. And for me. For you. Mom, you'll be fine. It's not like we see each other that much anyway. That line echoed in my head for days. It's not like we see each other that much anyway. As if his absence was my fault. As if I had chosen this distance. Weeks passed. My birthday came. 68. I woke up early. Straightened the house. Baked a small cake. Because Thomas always came on my birthday. Always. Even in the hard years. Even when he was buried in work. He would show up with flowers, with a tight hug, with that smile that reminded me of the boy he used to be. I waited all day. The phone never rang. At 6, I cut myself a slice of cake, ate it alone, chocolate mixed with tears. At 9, I sent a message. Hey son, you okay? He replied 2 hours later. I'm fine. Busy day. Sorry. Busy day. For the first time in 40 years, my son forgot my birthday. I cried myself to sleep, and when I woke up, I'd made a decision. I needed answers. I needed to look him in the eyes and understand when I stopped mattering. I went to Thomas's place without calling, rang the bell. Vanessa opened the door, not surprised, just annoyed. "Eleanor, I need to talk to Thomas. He's in the shower." "I'll wait." She crossed her arms, blocked the doorway. "Eleanor, we've talked about this. Thomas doesn't want you showing up here unannounced. It's invasive." "Invasive? I'm his mother, and I'm his wife, and in this house, we set the boundaries." I felt the anger rising in my throat. Hot, suffocating. "You're doing this on purpose. You're pushing me out of his life." Vanessa smiled, that cold smile. "Eleanor, you're pushing yourself out. Thomas is tired. Tired of the calls, the guilt trips, the way you act like he owes you something. I sacrificed everything for him. And now you want payment? That's not love, Eleanor. That's manipulation." The word hit me like a slap. Manipulation. I heard footsteps. Thomas came out of the hallway. Hair wet, face tight. "Mom, what are you doing here?" "I came to talk. About everything. About the move. About my birthday. About how you've been treating me." He looked at Vanessa, then at me. "Mom, please, don't make a scene." "A scene? Thomas, I'm asking for a conversation. Not here. Not now." "Then when?" Silence. Vanessa put her hand on his shoulder. Possessive, protective. Thomas has better things to do than manage his mother's emotions. I looked at my son, waiting for him to react, to defend me, to say something. He just sighed. "Mom, go home. We'll talk another day." And he closed the door in my face. I stood in the hallway, listening to life continue on the other side. Laughter, music, normalcy, like I didn't exist. I walked down the stairs slowly, got into my car, drove with no destination. I ended up at a park, sat on a bench, watched the trees sway in the wind. And for the first time, I allowed myself to think the unthinkable. My son didn't love me anymore. Or worse, maybe he never loved me the way I loved him. Maybe to him, I was always just a duty, a box checked, a chapter completed. I went home after dark, locked the door, sat on the couch, and that's when I noticed it. My purse was open. I rummaged through it. My wallet was gone. I'd left it at Thomas's place, in my hurry to leave, or maybe it had fallen. I called him, straight to voicemail. I texted, nothing. The next day, I called again. He answered, "Mom, what now?" "I left my wallet there. I need to pick it up. I haven't seen any wallet." "Thomas, please, everything's in there. Cards, ID." "I'll look. If I find it, I'll let you know." He never did. 2 weeks later, I needed medical tests. Routine, but important. The cardiologist had ordered them after I mentioned palpitations. He wanted to rule out any problems. I booked them for a Friday, but on Thursday, my car made a strange noise. I took it to the shop. The mechanic said it would take a few days. I called Thomas. "Son, I need a favor. My car broke down and I have to go to the doctor tomorrow." "What doctor?" "Cardiologist. Routine tests." Silence. "Mom, tomorrow's impossible. My schedule's packed." "Thomas, it's important." "Then take an Uber." "I don't have money." "Remember? My wallet." Another silence. "Mom, I can't fix all your problems. I'm not asking you to fix everything. I'm asking for a ride." He sighed. That sigh. "Fine. What time?" 10 in the morning. "Okay." I hung up, relieved. At least a ride. On Friday, I got ready early, waited on the sidewalk. Thomas arrived 20 minutes late. I got in the car quietly. He was tense, driving too fast, saying nothing. I tried to make conversation. How's the move going? Fine. Is Vanessa excited? Yes. And you? Are you happy with the decision? His grip tightened on the wheel. Mom, can you stop interrogating me? I'm not interrogating you. I'm trying to talk. No, you're trying to make me feel guilty. Guilty? For what? He stopped at a red light, turned toward me. For everything. For not calling. For moving. For having my own life. You act like I owe you. Thomas, I never said you owe me. You don't have to say it. It's written all over you, in every call, every unannounced visit. You want to control me. Control you. I just want to be close to you. And that's exactly what suffocates me. The light turned green. He hit the gas. I fell silent, trying to understand when my love had turned into suffocation. We got to the hospital. He stopped at the entrance. Good luck with the tests. You're not going to wait. I've got a meeting, Mom. Take an Uber back. Thomas, I don't have money. He huffed, irritated, pulled out his wallet, threw a 20 in my lap. There, that'll cover it. I got out without a word, held the bill, $20, as if 30 years of sacrifice were worth $20. I went inside, did the tests. The doctor said I needed more exams, scheduled for the following week. When I left, I called an Uber with that 20. I had $3 left. I bought a bottle of water. I got home exhausted, physically and emotionally. I sat on the couch, looked at the walls, at the photos of Thomas as a child, as a teenager, as a graduate, and I wondered when I had lost my son, or if I ever really had him. The following week was the worst of my life, worse than James's funeral, worse than selling my company, worse than anything I'd ever lived, because for the first time, I truly felt alone. My car was still in the shop. The bill was growing. I didn't have money to pay it. I called the bank. My account was nearly empty. I'd spent years living off occasional consulting jobs. I never worried about building savings. I always thought I had Thomas, that if something happened, my son would be there. But Thomas wasn't there anymore. I tried calling him 3 times, straight to voicemail. I texted, read. No reply. I went to his office. The receptionist, embarrassed, told me he'd left strict instructions. Ms. Eleanor is not to go up without a scheduled appointment. I went home, sat in the kitchen, looked at the almost empty fridge, and for the first time in my life, I thought, what if I just give up? But I didn't have time to sink deeper, because the phone rang. It was the clinic, reminding me of the tests that afternoon. Important results. I couldn't skip them. I looked at the clock, 2 hours until the appointment. No car, no money, no options. I took a deep breath, picked up the phone, dialed Thomas. He answered on the 5th ring. Mom. Not hi, not how are you, just Mom, like my name was a burden. Thomas, I know you're busy, but I really need help. Again. My car is still in the shop. I have to go get my results today. It's about my heart. The doctor said it's urgent. Long silence. What time? 3. Where are you? At home. Fine. I'll pick you up. But Mom, this is the last time. The last time. As if kindness had a quota, as if love came with a limit. Thank you, son. He hung up without answering. I got dressed. Put on the blue dress he'd once said he liked. Pinned my hair up. Put on lipstick, as if that mattered. As if looking nice could make me less invisible. I waited on the sidewalk, watching cars come and go, none of them his. 15 minutes late, 30, 40. The phone rang. Mom, sorry, traffic. I'm almost there. 20 minutes later, he arrived. I got in the car, said, thank you. He didn't even look at me. He drove in silence, jaw clenched. I tried not to speak, but the silence hurt worse than any words. Thomas, can we talk? About what? About us. About what's happening. Nothing's happening, Mom. Something is. You treat me like I'm a problem. He tightened his grip on the wheel, took a deep breath. You want honesty? I always have. Then here. You are a problem. The word sliced through me. Thomas. No, Mom. You asked? So listen, I'm tired. Tired of the calls, tired of the guilt, tired of you acting like I owe you my whole life. I never said you owe me. You don't have to say it. It's in everything you do. Yes, you raised me. Yes, you sacrificed your company. Yes, you paid for college. But do you know what you don't get? That was your job, my job, as if love were a career, as if motherhood came with a paycheck. Thomas, I did all of that because I love you. No, Mom, you did it because you wanted to, because you chose to, and now you act like I should spend my life paying you back. I don't want payment. I just want to be close to you. And that's what suffocates me. You don't understand boundaries. Vanessa was right. You don't know when to stop. Vanessa was right. Of course. Always Vanessa. Your father loved you, Thomas. He would have done the same. Don't talk about my father. You don't know what he would have done. I do. I knew him. I loved him. And now you want me to carry his weight too? Be the man of the house? The perfect son? The companion you lost? That's not it. It is. You lost your husband and decided I'd be the replacement, but I'm not, Mom. I'm not James, and I can't fill that hole. I stayed quiet because I had no answer, because maybe he was right. Maybe I had put a weight on Thomas he never asked to carry. We got to the clinic. Thomas stopped at the entrance. Good luck with the tests. Are you going to wait? He checked his watch, sighed. How long will it take? I don't know. Maybe half an hour. Fine. I'll wait. I got out, went inside, picked up my results. The doctor explained, nothing serious, just stress. I needed to take care of myself. Rest. Avoid tension. I laughed without humor. Avoid tension. How? I walked out 40 minutes later, looked for Thomas's car. It wasn't there. I looked around. Nothing. I called him. Thomas, where are you? Sorry, Mom. Something urgent came up at the office. I had to go. But you said you'd wait. I know, but it was urgent. How am I supposed to get home? Take an Uber. Thomas, I don't have money. I spent my last 20 on Uber last week. Silence. Then that cold, impatient voice. Mom, I can't solve all your financial problems. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking for a ride home. And I gave you one. I brought you there. But you left me here because I have to work. I can't put my whole life on hold every time you need something. I felt the tears burning, held them back. Thomas, I'm your mother. Exactly. You're my mother. Not my responsibility. Not my obligation. It was your job to be a mother. I don't owe you for that. I never said you owe me. Well, you should, because I don't. I built my firm on my own. I got my clients on my own. You didn't do anything except be a mom. And that's your job. The line went quiet. Just my breathing. Thomas, look, I'll do you a favor. I'll stop at a gas station and leave money for you. You pick it up there and get home, okay? You don't have to. Yes, I do. Because I can't take this anymore, Mom. I can't take this dependency. I can't take you. He hung up. I stood there, hugging myself, feeling my world crumble. 20 minutes later, he texted, "I'm at the Shell on the main avenue. Come get it." I walked 15 minutes under the sun, sweating, embarrassed. When I got there, I saw his car by the pump. He was filling the tank, didn't look at me when I approached. "Thomas." He turned, face hard. "Here." He threw a 20 into my hand. "That's enough for Uber and change. Son, please, can we talk?" There's nothing to talk about. There is. About all of this. About how you've been treating me. He closed the tank. Put the nozzle back. "You know what, Mom? Vanessa was right from the start. You're dead weight. Dead weight." The words hung in the air, heavy, final. "Thomas, how can you say that?" "Because it's true. You don't work. You have no money. You have no life of your own. You just call and guilt trip and demand attention. And I'm done. I don't have a life of my own because I devoted my life to you." And whose choice was that? Mine. "I never asked you to sacrifice anything." He got in the car, closed the door. I knocked on the window, desperate. "Thomas, please, don't leave me here." He rolled the window down. Those eyes that once were full of love were now solid ice. "Figure it out, Mom. I've been figuring it out my whole life. Now it's your turn." And he drove off, left me there. In the middle of the gas station, with $20 in my hand, no phone, because it was still in his car. No dignity. I smelled the sharp mix of gas and burned oil, the sun burning my skin, strangers staring as they walked past. A woman whispered to her husband, "Poor thing, she must have been abandoned." Poor thing, that's what I had become. Poor thing. I sat on the curb, looked at the crumpled bill in my hand. $20, 30 years of love, of sacrifice, of giving things up, worth $20. I cried, right there, in front of everyone. But then, in the middle of the tears and the humiliation, something shifted inside me. A cold, sharp clarity. I will not beg anymore. I will not shrink anymore. I will not accept crumbs after serving a feast. I wiped my tears, took a deep breath, and that's when I heard it. The sound of an engine slowing down right behind me. I turned. A black car. Tinted windows. Elegant. The driver's door opened. A man stepped out. Impeccable suit. Gray hair. He looked at me, his brow furrowed. "Eleanor!" I knew that voice. He came closer, crouched beside me. "Eleanor Mitchell? Is that you?" I looked at his face and recognized him. Marcus Patterson, James's former partner, attorney, old family friend, someone I hadn't seen in over 10 years. "Marcus?" He looked around, at the gas station, at me on the curb, at the $20 in my hand. What happened? And for the first time since it all started, I told the truth. Marcus drove me home in silence. Not that awkward silence, the kind that respects someone's pain. When we got there, he turned off the engine and looked at me. "Can I come in? I think we need to talk." I nodded. I didn't have the strength to say no. Inside, I offered him coffee. He said yes. We sat in the living room. He glanced at the photos of Thomas on the walls. He grew up. He did. Marcus took a sip, set the cup down. "Eleanor, start from the beginning. Tell me everything." And I did. The company I sold, the money I put into Thomas's firm, The years I worked as the invisible partner, the Mont Blanc pen, Vanessa, the gradual distance, the sale of my share behind my back, the forgotten birthday, the humiliation at the gas station. Marcus listened without interrupting, but I saw his jaw clench, tighter and tighter. When I finished, he stayed quiet for a long minute. Then he spoke, calm, controlled. "Eleanor, what he did is not just cruel, it's illegal." I blinked. "What do you mean?" "You provided initial capital. You worked for years without pay. Do you have witnesses?" "Yes, our former accountant, some longtime clients, and documents, bank transfers, emails. I kept everything. I never throw documents away." Marcus leaned forward. "Eleanor, you have a legal claim to part of this business. Thomas couldn't sell your share without your consent. That's fraud. But I never formalized anything. I trusted him. It doesn't matter. There are laws that protect de facto partners, especially when there's proof of financial and labor contribution." I felt something strange in my chest, a mix of hope and fear. "Marcus, I don't want to sue my own son." He looked me straight in the eyes. "Eleanor, your son abandoned you at a gas station, called you dead weight, stole from you. That's not love. That's abuse." The word hit me. Abuse. I had never seen it that way. I always made excuses, always found reasons. "He's stressed. Vanessa is influencing him." Marcus shook his head. "Eleanor, he's a grown man. He made choices, and those choices hurt you, legally and emotionally. But if I sue him, I'll lose him for good. You already lost him." It hurt to hear it, but it was true. Marcus took my hand, a protective gesture. "You were my friend. You were the wife of my best friend. James made me promise that if anything happened, I'd look after you. I failed. I wasn't around, but I'm here now, and I'm going to help you. I won't charge you a cent." Tears slipped down, different ones this time, not from pain, from relief. "Why are you doing this?" "Because it's right, and because you deserve it." That night, I didn't sleep. I lay awake, weighing it all. Suing Thomas meant war. It meant going public. It meant admitting I had failed as a mother, but not suing meant accepting it, remaining invisible, and I was done disappearing. The next morning, I called Marcus. "Let's do it." He started working right away, gathered documents, interviewed witnesses, built the case, and he found things I didn't know. Thomas had listed me as a dependent on his tax returns, collected benefits for it, never gave me a penny. That was tax fraud. The sale of my share had been documented internally. $300,000 used to buy the beach house. That was misappropriation. Marcus showed me the paperwork, walked me through each legal point. "Eleanor, you have a strong case, very strong. How long will it take?" "It depends. If he settles, it could be quick. If he fights, it could take months. And if he fights, we'll win anyway. The evidence is solid." Marcus filed the lawsuit. Thomas was formally notified. 2 days later, my phone rang. It was him. I answered, heart pounding. "Mom, what the hell is this?" His voice was raised, angry. "It's what should have been done years ago. You're suing me. Your own mother is suing you. I'm claiming what's mine. You're not entitled to anything. You were never an official partner." I was, and the evidence proves it. Tense silence. Vanessa was right. You're manipulative, toxic. Thomas, you called me dead weight, abandoned me at a gas station, took my money, and I'm the toxic one. I didn't take your money. That money was mine. It was ours. I invested. I worked. I built that firm with you. You built nothing. You just existed, and now you want to steal what's mine. I don't want to steal. I want what I'm owed." He took a breath. When he spoke again, his voice was colder, calculating. "How much do you want to drop this? It's not about the money. Everything is about money, Mom. It always has been. For you, maybe. For me, it was about family. Then why are you doing this? Why are you tearing our family apart?" "I didn't tear anything apart, Thomas. You did. When you chose Vanessa over me, when you sold my share without telling me, when you left me at a gas station like trash." Long silence. "You'll regret this. Maybe, but not more than I already regret being invisible for so long." I hung up. My hands were shaking. My heart was racing. But there was something else, too. Dignity. The case moved forward. Thomas hired expensive lawyers, tried to fight every point, but the evidence was undeniable. Bank transfers, old emails, witness statements. The accountant confirmed my financial contribution. Former clients confirmed my unpaid work. Even the receptionist testified, said she'd always seen me as part of the firm. Thomas tried to settle, offered $50,000. Marcus called me. "It's insulting. You deserve at least 10 times that." Reject it. They offered 100, then 150. I turned them all down. "Eleanor, can I ask why? 100,000 would solve a lot. Because this isn't about money, Marcus. It's about respect, about justice." Then we go all the way. We did. The trial was brutal. Thomas stared at me with pure hatred. Vanessa sat by his side, holding his hand, whispering poison. His lawyers tried to paint me as a manipulative mother, a bitter woman, a freeloader. Marcus tore every argument apart. He presented the documents, called the witnesses, laid out the timeline. He showed the court who had really built that company. The judge listened, checked the evidence, and ruled. Eleanor Mitchell was entitled to 40% of the company, plus damages for emotional harm and misappropriation, total $420,000. Thomas went pale. Vanessa jumped up, shouting about injustice. The gavel came down. Case closed. I left the courtroom with Marcus at my side. "How do you feel?" "I don't know yet." "Do you regret it?" "No, but I'm sad. I got the money, but I lost my son." Marcus stopped, held my shoulders. "Eleanor, you didn't lose your son. You reclaimed yourself. He was right. Over the next few months, I used the money wisely. I opened my own interior design consulting firm. Small, select, focused on quality. I brought Marcus in as a business partner. He handled the legal side. I handled the creative. We also created a pro bono program, free legal help for seniors who were victims of financial abuse by their own families. Because I found out my story wasn't unique. Thousands of parents were being used, robbed, discarded, and no one talked about it. News of the lawsuit leaked. It hit business blogs. Renowned architect convicted of defrauding his own mother. Thomas's reputation collapsed. Clients walked away. Partners distanced themselves. Vanessa left him 3 months later. When the money dried up, he called me once. I picked up, "Mom, Thomas, you ruined my life." "No, son, you ruined your own life. I just refused to sync with you." Vanessa left me. "I'm sorry. You're not. This is what you wanted." "I wanted dignity, Thomas, not revenge." Silence. "I was wrong about some things." "Some? Most. But so were you. You sued me. exposed our family. You abandoned me at a gas station, Thomas. You called me dead weight. I was angry, and I was invisible. For years. He took a breath. Can we start over? I closed my eyes, felt the weight of the question. Thomas, I hope you learn from this. I hope you grow. I hope you become the man your father would be proud of. But not at my expense. Not anymore. So that's it. We're done. We're not done. We're different. If one day you truly understand what you did, if you really change, I'll be here. But I won't be waiting. I won't be begging. I'll just be living. I hung up, and for the first time in years, I felt peace. My business thrived, small, but profitable, respected. I got the Mont Blanc pen back. It was part of the legal settlement. I placed it in a holder on my desk. I had a new plate engraved for the base. I built my empire again. And I did. Not to prove anything to Thomas, but to prove something to myself, that I had always been capable, always been strong. I had just forgotten. Eleanor never had to scream. She didn't need to destroy. She just refused to disappear. And in that refusal, she rebuilt everything. The business, her dignity, her life. Today, at 70, Eleanor works with clients who choose her, not because they need her, but because they respect her. The Mont Blanc pen is still there on her desk, a reminder that empires can be built, lost, and built again. Thomas never really came back. Not completely. He still carries wounded pride, public shame, the weight of his own choices. And Eleanor? She learned that loving someone doesn't mean losing yourself in them. That dignity isn't something others give you. It's something you claim. That sometimes the greatest revolution is simply saying, I'm not living on crumbs anymore. If you've ever been invisible to someone who should have seen you, hear this. Your worth is not in the hands of the one who walks away. If this story touched you, leave an I see you in the comments. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it. Because stories like Eleanor's need to be told, not as revenge, but as a reminder that yes, we can start again. That yes, we can bloom. Even after abandonment, even after pain. Sometimes, the greatest victory is simply refusing to disappear. Until the next story. This is Maggie Turner, and I see you.